Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Paris Days Coxum, and you guys are at the Psychology Club, introducing Psychi, the International Honor Society in Psychology. Does anybody know what Psychi is? Have you ever heard of it before? Yeah, a little bit. Well, are you guys all psychology majors or maybe minors? Yeah. Okay, well, that's exactly why I wanted to have this event. I feel like a lot of students here don't really know what the psychology department offers. And me, I was declared a psychology major since my freshman year, but I didn't hear about it until the second semester of my freshman year. So I just wanted to, spread more light and let more people be aware of psychi and, its benefits and, just spread more information. So yes, I'm Paris Days Cooksom. I am the Psychi student liaison. So I give information, I guess, about Psychi. Like I just want you guys to know more about Psychi. Hopefully it becomes a position for the psychology club soon. Yes, so I'm a psychology major. I was 2024 freshman on the rise, and I was inducted into Psychi spring 2025 of the Cheney chapter. So now I will introduce Dr. Barnes, the man who inducted me into Psychi.
All right, everybody. When I talked to Paris about this, she wanted us to come in and talk about Psi Chi, right? But the first thing she wanted to do was, I guess, to go over my kind of accolades and everything. And that's not my style at all, right? But I did together a couple of slides to kind of show you where I've been, but then also talk about, in my mind, what was the most influential aspects of my education and training. So if you look at this right here, you guys can see I got some PhD at the University of New Hampshire. No effect. Sometimes I'm actually a little embarrassed by that, right? Because we're at an HBCU and I went to University of New Hampshire and the classrooms were, I was the only one that literally was in the room, especially in my graduate courses, right? There are a couple of athletes on campus, but there I got my doctorate and I also got my master's in the science of teaching, right? And that's how I think I've just been comfortable in the classroom, as well as getting a master's of the arts in psychology, right? But I will tell you what I'm probably most proud of is my bachelor's degree of science in psychology at Morgan State University. Now, I know this because I think my advisor, when I got into graduate school at the University of New Hampshire, um, she was presenting me. We went to our first national conference and she wanted to big up an internship, right, that I was in. Now, this internship, granted, it was an opportunity for me to go, for me to demonstrate what I was able to do. But everything that I was able to do came from Morgan State University, right? It came from Morgan State. And I'll probably take it a step further. I was the psychology club president, right? And I attended meetings just like this for Psychi. I got inducted just like Psychi. But those out of classroom experiences really made it so that I was able to, I believe, be a mover and shaker in my discipline. So even though you might rank these a certain way and be all impressed by a PhD or whatever, but I'll be honest, what I think has been the most important about this isn't even listed on here. It's my time and experiences at Morgan State, as well as my involvement in leadership in the Psych Club and Psych Chi. Now, this right here is a personal statement. I really don't like going through this right here, but what it will really do is talk about kind of my research interests. And one of my research interests isn't even listed on here. I was going to talk about it a little bit later. But the first one, it's about effective pedagogy, right? Now, it's funny because you guys probably are far away from Intro to Psychology, but in my Intro to Psychology course, it's a textbook that I wrote, right? In and out. I love psychology through and through, right? It's in D2L. It actually used to be online as a wiki, which was a much, much better format. But when the wiki went down and that's no longer hip anymore, right? Putting it in D2L was kind of what's best for working with you guys, right? So effective pedagogy. I look and investigate what really makes it tick or make it click when you guys are learning, right? Teaching with technology, same thing as effective pedagogy, but human judgment is really big for me, right? And human judgment, if you have been in one of my advising sessions, you might know, especially if your judgment is bad, right? I usually sit back and put you in situations, whether you're aware of it or not, to sit back and have you question, like, look, like you might be mad right now, right? You might be mad at me or the faculty member that's treating you unfairly, right? But let's really sit back and think about all the decisions that you got into that made it so that this was a bad situation, that it was make or break. It really is not the fact that a faculty member missed his one office hour that you're failing, right? It's a whole bunch of other judgments and decisions there. And I just thinking through that is just really, really interesting. Another recent topic is race-based stress, racial trauma, right? Now, you guys are probably protected from it being at a HBCU, but walking around black, we do it every single day. Walking around as a minority, we do it every single day. My blood pressure raised just this morning. I was in an accident last Thursday. I don't know what happened, but I feel like the guy at the tow place must have knew I was a minority. Soon as I called him, he's dismissive. Ugh, yeah, your insurance didn't call me. Your insurance didn't call me. Yeah, we need to make sure we're going to get paid. I'm like, why are you talking to me like I'm a criminal? I'm the one that got hit. I wasn't the issue, right? I go in there and I realize this guy, I've been taught some issues, right? And like how to deal with conflict. So I'm talking to him and he's saying all these accusations like my insurance didn't get out to him. I call my insurance in the parking lot because I'm going to chew his ass out, right? I want to make sure I'm factual. I don't want to emotionally chew him out. I want to make sure it's factual. Well, I go back in, and apparently the guy that was helping me came out and he was laughing. So he kind of forewarned this guy that like I was angry and I was going to talk to him. He tries to make it seem as if none of the issues that he mentioned before were real. Oh, we got all the insurance information now. We got this, we got that, we got. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. A couple seconds ago, you were telling me to make sure that I don't take the key out of my own car, right? It's your property. You want me to sign right here. You're asking me for my phone number, my identification. A little while ago, my insurance didn't get in contact with you, right? But right now, when you come back in and you probably realize you're wrong, none of that matters. I had to sit back there and try to effectively weigh. This guy got so angry at me because I didn't, like, get all amped up like I want to fight you. But I'm sitting over here questioning, just like, I want to ask you, like, what's wrong with your life that you're so angry? Why were you sitting back there and dealing with me this way from the get-go? I don't know you, so what's your excuse, right? He's like, what? You accusing me of being a racist? Didn't say anything. Don't make me come across the counter. I was like, sir, I would love for you to come across the counter, right? But again, that's kind of the burden that we have to deal with all the time. And there are people who I really believe would have went into that experience with that individual and had a great flowering interaction. That ruined my yesterday. And I'm supposed to come to work and teach you guys, smile, advise, and go back home with normal life. That's the unfair burden that we bear as being a minority in America, right? So then, some of the research that I've also talked about, we have pedagogy, teaching, technology. I did some research on health disparities a while ago on a grant supported fund with, I think it was, it's Jefferson now, but it was UPenn at that time. And we were just looking at what people were doing because they were bringing out the HPV vaccine, which you guys probably all have. That's how old my research is, right? But it was when it was coming out and they were looking at kind of the backlash and resistance we had in urban communities. How do we sit back and make it so that people will trust this new vaccine? And honestly, the work was relevant again, and I realized it got cited a couple times during the pandemic because the same issue was happening. We created this brand new solution for COVID, right? And what communities, once again, were not trusting of this? Yep. Then human judgment, memory, decision making. We already talked about that before, but the other thing I'll say, which I'm really interested in right now, outside of race-based stress, is it's about, I'm going to say it's union thinking, right? And union thinking is the aspect, and I think Cheney, unfortunately, is a great example of it. Cheney University is a union, place so that all the faculty are in a union. You guys hear us talk about tenure, which protects us to a certain extent, right? And we're run by a university that has our management, our presidents. We have our leadership at the university. Now, let me tell you, at most other universities, if you are not a union-based institution, the president literally can change and cut and manipulate a university with the wave of his hand. I mean, that's a very powerful position, right? Cheney has a union. So the president has checks and balances like our government, right? It's also red tape and it slows things down with our administration. Now, what's very interesting and fascinating with me, and I've learned here, is that if we were to get 10 faculty lined up, they would exist on this spectrum. There are some faculty who are extremely union strong, meaning we must follow process. It's the only way, and administration can only do what they want as a result of going through process. And then you have people who are on the absolute other extreme. They believe that the administrators and presidents will do whatever they want, and the union is just like a nuance. Now, as you can imagine, from looking at the personalities on this campus, there are people that fit anywhere in between on this spectrum, right? And that's what my research is looking into. How can I sit back and survey, interview, or identify a faculty member to find out their perspectives or viewpoints on leadership? Now, I'm not going to mention a name on this, right, at all. But as you can imagine, at a university like Cheney University, where say we have a great idea, let me think of something. I'll say this, I'm making this up. Trauma in psychology degree. Can you imagine if we had a trauma in psychology minor, right? Now, in order for us to do that, we got to go through administrative red tape through the university, but a president would love to sit back and make it happen tomorrow just so we can attract students, right? Now, if you think about these 10 faculty that I was mentioning, right? These 10 faculty would differ in terms of what they do. Some faculty would meet with our leadership and tell them, look, this is what we have to do. We'll help you. We'll go through the process. Other faculty would go to the faculty and get them uproared about what the president said. Others would sit back there and tell the president, just do it anyway. Those people, it creates a division amongst us as faculty, right? And this survey, I think it would be phenomenal. Actually, the union is actually giving me a little bit of money because they're so interested in this topic. Imagine the power of this. Instead of hiring, let's say me, I'm a bad apple that's going to sit back at Cheney University for maybe 25 years and be a thorn in the checks and balances side for as long as I'm at Cheney, right? What if I could identify that that's my traits before I even get here? I probably would not be hired. Versus an individual who is appropriate on the spectrum, understand checks and balances, give and take, has a good rapport with leadership, that individual is an asset because that's how we move forward. That research, I've actually published it, not a scholarly publications, but through news journals, through the union newsletter. However, when I get to this next phase of collecting data, it'll go to that next level of being scholarship. So that's it. But I'll tell you, out of all this research that I'm interested in doing, my grant-funded Psi Chi research my senior year is probably the most memorable research that I did. Let me tell you what I did. I'm going to say it in a way that kind of belittles it, but it was big when I was doing it. I literally went to the supermarket. I had to catch the bus to get to the supermarket, and I bought Ghirardelli. Now, let me tell you, I was a little ignorant black kid at Morgan State University. I didn't know what the hell Ghirardelli chocolates was. You guys know what Ghirardelli chocolates are? Okay, I'm good. Y'all, maybe we're two alike. It's a high-end fancy chocolate. It's bitter and it tastes disgusting, right? But then we also have what we're aware of, you know, Nestle, Hershey chocolates, and stuff like that, right? Now, what I did is I forget the setup, but I sat back and told people the prices of the chocolates and had you taste them. The next setup, I would sit back and tell you the names of the chocolates and have you taste them. And the next one, I would probably lie to you and mix it up. Now, when we told Cheney University students who wanted to like better their lives, when we told them the value of the chocolates, do you think they went with what they liked, or do you think they went with the chocolates that, must be represent some type of sophistication? Yeah, it was disgusting chocolate, I swear to you. Do not do this experiment today, right? But it was like a bitter, high quality, no natural sugars. It was disgusting, right? But I'll tell you what I learned from that research is essentially what I do in all of what we do today, in experimental today. It's the ability to sit back and attend to details, think about checks and balances, and that stuff. So again, I'm going through my background, I guess, but I'm really trying to big up what I think Psychi and Psychology Club did for me. Now, we're here to learn about Psychi, not me, right? So let me stop talking about me. What is the history of Psychi, right? What is this organization? This organization dates back to 1929. 1929. And it had its birth at Yale University. Those who like names, dropping jewels, all that kind of stuff. It was at like the Ninth Congress of Psychology at Yale University, which is essentially just a psychology club meeting that essentially was only limited to Yale students. But it allowed those Yale students to showcase their psychology research, right, that they were doing locally. Now, two students were responsible for this. And they presented their information at this Congress, and it immediately gained traction. I mean, people are like, this is a great idea. You're absolutely right. We should have an honor society. I mean, you guys know the Greek honor societies on our campus. You guys probably know about the Keystone Honor Society that is going to have an event very soon, right? Why don't we have something for psychology? So trust me, everybody liked it. Now, after World War II, was a little bit of some gray years, I'll say that. Psi Chi gained a little bit more momentum. What they did is they added national programs. They added leadership training, which is very similar to what Keystone does for you guys. They allowed people to present research at conferences. There are still Psi Chi regional conferences that go on that we can be a part of, and where students from Psi Chi in the, I think we're the northern east region, will get together at one of the schools, and there are other students just like you presenting their research. Psi Chi also established awards and grants to support student research. And that's what I mentioned, my chocolate. I was the recipient of getting that money to do that chocolate study. A significant milestone for Psi Chi occurred in the 1980s and 90s when they had their own peer-reviewed journal. This journal is still being published today, right? And it's a great opportunity. Now, I will tell you today, it is probably very, very difficult to get in there. Although, let me tell you, I don't think it's as difficult for you guys as you think. And the reason why I say that is because I think you guys don't understand what you guys are doing in experimental, right? But what we do in experimental over a 2 semester period is exactly what wants to be showcased in these Psi Chi journals. Student research. It may have its flaws. It may sit back, but it is sound. It has good design, and that it. So you guys, if you're interested, that is something that you guys are probably at the forefront of doing. We've done research, myself, Spears, and Thomas, right? The fact that you guys have 2 semesters of stats, and if you're engaged or retain it, right, you guys are pretty much prepared for what you'll experience at the graduate level. And for the research methods course, if you're engaged and you retain it, it's essentially what is ideal for these publications, and it's a perfect foundation for what you'll do in graduate school. Now, I didn't know about this, so I learned it. But in 2009, which I guess you guys were alive then, right? But in 2009, Psi Chi changed. It transitioned to now it is the International Honor Society. And the reason why is because it expanded chapters globally. It has expanded chapters globally. I think I've still been calling it the National Honor Society. I just didn't even realize that I did it, right? Now, here's another thing I'll talk about a little bit later. But when you think about the creme de la creme of organizations in psychology, Psi Chi is affiliated with all of them. And I don't even want to say affiliated. Psi Chi is endorsed and supported by both of them. You guys know APA, right? Right? Okay, that little citation that you guys all hate, right? But the American Psychological Association supports Psi Chi. The American Psychological Society um, supports Psi Chi, as well as I don't know why APS is listed there twice. My bad. Blame that on Chat GPT. My bad. Right? But again, Psi Chi is affiliated with all three. There definitely are three. I got to figure out what they are. Must be a mistake on here. But that is a big recognition. Now, I think we talk about a little bit later about what it means to be recognized by them from some benefits. Now, Psi Chi does have a mission. Our mission is to promote academic excellence and advance psychological science. Now, that's actually really key. And if you think about it, Paris got up here and was sharing with her history and her experiences with Psi Chi of how we go out of the way to promote academic excellence. I almost felt bad for Paris because if you heard really what she said, she mentioned that she was recognized in the spring semester of her freshman year for being a psychology major freshman on the rise. But she didn't even know. Now, think about this. Now, this is great psychological thinking, right? Do you think it would have mattered to Paris and students like Paris if we met them soon as they walked in and we sat back and said, hey, if you do good here, you'll be a psychology major freshman on the rise? That's a real question. And then further with the question, how do you think it would have impacted students? There's a whole range. That's why I love psychology. Because quite frankly, that diversity of how it would impact people and how people would react, that's what we want to study and we want to capture. But guys, I really do. I want to hear from you guys. How do you think it would change if we told freshmen day one or in their intro to psychology class, there is a freshman on the rise category. And if your GPA is impressive enough, we'll recognize you. Paris.
I think it would make freshmen great. They would, if they hear about the benefits of psych and everything, I think
Mhm.
that they would want to, maybe if they want to be a part of it, then they would
Mhm.
strive to have good GPAs and be good at psychology.
Now, I love what she said. She started off thinking that everybody's like Paris. No offense, everybody is not like Paris. But her big disclaimer was if they want to be involved, then they might actually strive to have been better. There might be some freshmen around here that I did a disservice to that satisfied or accepted a C or B when they could have been better, all because they weren't even aware of this award. Right? But let's think about that. That's the little Parises in the world, right? How else could people have responded? I'm gonna let it marinate. Monica.
I feel like not to like be negative, sometimes they might like they might just want to just be it's getting like a acknowledgement.
You know what? I love Monica's comment that people might ask, what's the point? What's it for? Because when I send out the email about Psi Chi, that is the number one email that I get. What is this? What does it do for me? And why would I want to do it? And actually, I have a prepared email that responds to that type of person's response. I would put it in the original, but it's already too long. Nobody likes to read. But I get that response all the time. And quite frankly, that is why we're doing this here today. Just to make sure that you guys understand everything that Psi Chi has available to you guys. All right, now let's look at the mission. Right? I'm going to ask for, actually, this is real bad. I'm going to pick on you, Lashani. I'm sorry. Can you read the mission for us? All right, so we're supposed to recognize and promote. That's important, right? I think we're doing a good job of that, right? But what are the two things that we want to recognize and promote? This is actually kind of hard because you got to like read and comprehend. but I'm looking at potential Psych members here, so I know y'all can do it. The science, right? I'm gonna stick with the science first. That really is the research. That's the experiences in which you guys get. And I will tell you, I don't necessarily hear it from you guys, not that you don't feel it, but trust me, there are people I know for the fact have changed their major. And you know why they've changed their major? They blame one of two things, both of which offend me. It's either stats or research methods class, or it's me, right? The science of psychology is not what really motivates them. But I will tell you the science, being able to engage and conduct the science of psychology, it gives you that advantage. All right. So the science is one part. What's the other thing that's near and dear to Psy-Chi? Oh, she said application? All right. Okay. I definitely didn't hear you. The application, right? And I will tell you, this is a challenge. And I will tell you, that is what the Psychology Club does and represents. As much as I might think I'm a cool professor, I know for a fact I actually make my jokes corny just to like make you guys laugh at them, right? But the best way to apply psychology that's relevant through you is through you. You guys remember we had a meet your doppelganger activity. I promise you guys, there's no way in hell I would have thought of that. That came from you guys caring about psychology, wanting to apply psychology, and wanting to make it relevant. And whether you realize it or not, that learned, lived experience made you a better psychologist. That is what Psych-Chi, the mission of Psych-Chi is all about. And the Psychology Club supports that. And the Psych-Chi mission and its representation will only enhance it. Now, this is a lot of mouthful. But again, we talk about recognizing and promoting it, right? Membership represents, I want to say, being part of the band of the academic best in psychology. And I'm going to tell you, I think when I first came to Cheney University, there were some individuals. Remember that email I keep telling you, like why I want to be in Psych-Chi? I had a person who graduated from Cheney University come back and they said, is it too late to join Psych-Chi? I was like, hell yeah, you graduated, right? But the reason why she said she wanted to join is because she went to an interview and she felt like the interviewer went cold when she asked her, how come you're not in Psych-Chi? She had to sit back and explain, like, wait, if your grade is sound, right, and you are telling me that you care about psychology, why would you not be in the honor society? It's too late for me to add her because, again, it's an international honor society. Trust me, it's not just me putting you in there because I like you. They ask for transcripts on the flip end, on the back end, right? It's really important. It's like being the who's who of that aspect. Access to research, grants, scholarships, grants, and awards. These are actually great to be recognized in Psych-Chi for any one of these. It lets you know that you're the cream of the crop, right? This is kind of a good path to go to graduate school. Not saying you can't get in without it. But again, if you have an active Psych-Chi involvement and representation, you can be aware of these. You can apply for them individually with your advisor or as a club. We've only applied for it one time here under my leadership for as long as I've been here. We did not win, but it was done as a club. It was done as a club. And I will tell you, some of the issues were meeting that deadline. What we have and what you guys have at your fingertips with ChatGPT, if you did their work, there's no way you would not be able to successfully submit, right? And I think with the appropriate guidance, you guys could be a strong front runner. It was a strong proposal. That would have put Cheney on the map. Research opportunities and publishing. As you mentioned before, they have their peer-reviewed Psych-Chi journal article, which is a great experience to go through. They will probably run you through the mud just to run you through the mud, just to let you know what it means like to go through peer review. And peer reviewed is essentially saying, I mean to say it this way, but it's almost like, oh, you're cute, but. Can you imagine the person you like walks up to you and says that? Oh, you're cute, but. That's what they're doing for your research. We like your research, but. So it's just like, damn, I'm almost satisfied. You got to go back and change this about yourself. I mean, about your research. You got to go back and do more about yourself. I mean, about your research, right? But it's a process that makes you understand it's that little phrase they have, steel sharpens steel. That is exactly what the peer-reviewed process is all about. Next, graduates, career and graduate school resources, right? You receive guides, webinars, and career planning tools. I will tell you that the pandemic has really helped with this due to the fact that you guys could get access to experts in the field about resume writing that's offered to Psi Chi members. And all you got to do is remember to log in, and you'll have that edge amongst all of your peers. Also, you asked about what that money does. That lifetime membership, once you join, it's in. It's like once you're in, you're in. There's no renewal fees, right? You are a lifetime member. And you can actually go online and look at your join date, your institution, in the little database they have. The other aspect is reduced costs for conferences and events. If you practice in your field like I do, I get about $110 off of every conference that I go to as a result of me being a Psi Chi member way back in, I can't even tell you when. Yeah, it was definitely in the 1990s. Yeah, graduate school was 2000s. But I can save $100 each year to every conference I go to. And that's because, like we said before, Psi Chi is recognized by the APA. So they give discounts to members who are Psi Chi, APS, and I'm forgetting what the other one is. But it says history of Psi Chi. Much apologies. These are the benefits of Psi Chi. Now, what does it mean to be a member? I'm going to be honest. You know what? I talk a big game, but quite frankly, it is not hard for psychology majors. Let me tell you what I did about 3 years ago. What I ended up doing is when I look at people who are able to join Psi Chi, I am able to get access to every person at the university and their GPA. What I did about 3 years ago is I was just like, okay, usually I look at the cream of the crop, the top for admission into Psi Chi. But I wanted to look at all of the psychology majors. I brag on you guys just a little bit. I think that we're in the business building right now, and the business argues they are the largest number of majors. But when you sit back and look at the graduation rate, the 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year graduation rate, we pump out more students, right? I also think that you guys, as a result of what you're doing, you guys are probably the best critical thinkers on this campus, right? Psychology is a social science. The way I refer to it as it is a creative science. We're not telling you to sit back and mix molecules together or, have like mathematical theorems. Essentially, you guys are often challenged with, okay, how do I learn this about participants? And as you guys can imagine, it's not as simple as asking you, right? A little bit before this presentation, people were talking about courses, and I'm just like, can I really believe the words that are coming out of people's mouths? I mean, you're still enrolled in my classes. I can still fail, and or pass you. Are you really going to tell me the truth about how you feel about my class? No. Graduation day is when I learned the truth. On graduation day, I walk to my car and I'm holding my breath because I think my tires are slashed. Right? But in psychology, how do we get to know what's really going on? We have to be creative about it. We have to create surveys that are getting at issues without explicitly getting at issues. I almost wish I brought it with me, but the research that the items that I'm creating for that union awareness scale that I was talking about beforehand, I can't simply have a survey say, do you think that administrators should do whatever they want? First of all, if I know other people are going to look at my survey, I'm not going to answer that question correctly, right? But you sit back and you ask questions about being a just world, about authority, about leadership, about how you behave under consequences. And then we're getting at how people occur, because that's what really is the big deal about our union division amongst faculty. It's not about whether they know what's right or wrong, But let's imagine that the president is mom and dad. You might act up in front of your siblings. You might act up in front of your friends. But mom and dad, they the ones that can put belt to ass. How are you going to behave in front of them? Right? That's what's really key to sit back and make sure and I got to be creative. I can't even say that, right? How would you behave if you felt like the president was going to beat your, no, that doesn't make sense. We have to be creative and find out ways to address those questions. And I'll tell you, for what I'm hoping to be a 10 or 15 item survey, I have already created 163 items. Some of those items are just going to fall by the water, not going to be good. But some of the ones that'll be surprising, that will allow me to investigate this in a slick, sly way, are the ones that I'll be able to pick. So let's get into our membership. It's not that hard because psychology majors, that was my little tangent, I'm sorry. But when I look at the psychology majors, you guys are the upper echelon of the university. There aren't too many of psychology majors at the bottom of the barrel. So to be the top 35% of your class, that ain't that hard for many psychology majors. And it's depending on your class. You're not competing with the seniors if you're a junior. You're not competing with the sophomores if you're a junior. You're competing with the sophomores, right? Now, your GPA has to be a 3.1 or higher. I want to let you guys know this is us. It actually, the national standards is 3.0. 3.1 is us to make sure that we can keep it at that top 35%. You must complete 9 credit hours of psychology, which is why we acknowledge the Freshman on the Rise Award. Because when you're a freshman, no matter how good your GPA is, you probably only have one psychology course, maybe two. And I would probably say probably one. Because you might have intro to psych your fall semester, which is when you did well. But I hope you guys know, I can't assume. Even you guys probably don't know every letter grade that you will receive for this semester. So in the spring semester, when we recognize you, yes, you're in more psych courses, but we don't know what your grade is. Just like right now, we're in week 13 of the semester, but you guys don't know what your final grade will be in any class that you're enrolled in with me or anyone. Now, there's a required $100 lifetime membership. Now, I want to tell you that the cost for the membership itself is $55. You guys might be asking me, Dr. Barnes, where's the rest of the money go? The induction ceremony, we don't charge anything. At the induction ceremony, you will also get cords and a stole, right? At the induction ceremony, we also will recognize our seniors. We'll have food there, et cetera, right? This model that we have just kind of works. I probably put a little bit of money into it each year. But again, the reason why I say that is because I had one individual a couple years ago that went online and thought that I was like pocketing the money. No offense, y'all. I'm not going to be stealing $45 from each. Actually, that does seem like a lot of money. But when you get your stoles and your ribbons, you'll understand. You go online how much they cost, and it definitely is worth it. It barely works out. Now, these benefits, I'm going to argue, have already been talked about before. One, I didn't say it indirectly, but it enhances your resume and graduate school applications or job career opportunities. I talked about the student who wanted in after it was too late. Just looking at this right now, we have inducted more than 959,000 members have joined Psi Chi during its lifetime. We are about to approach 1 million members. Every semester, this number goes up, right? And it's because we are picking the best. We're only picking the top 35 of everyone who's probably interested. They've awarded over $400,000 in scholarships. And of course, you get these access to these grants as well. Now, that is all I have to really say about Psi Chi. I don't have much more to share through the presentation, but I would love if you guys have any questions or any issues that I might not have been clear about to focus on. Now is that time. Ask about Psi Chi. In the back, thank you. Made me feel like I'm here for a purpose. What's your name? Asani? Mm-hmm. Okay. Ah. The induction to Psi Chi is always in the spring semester, right? Now, in terms of when does your track record start, it's immediately, right? So it's like, again, that's why we have the freshmen on the rise. We looking at you right now. Now, with you being a business major, this is a little self-promotion, but you can talk to any of the faculty in business, I believe, and they'll verify this. It's a proven fact that psychology majors make the best business master's degree students in graduate school, right? And also, the business undergraduate degree and the psychology undergraduate degree is an extremely powerful combination when you are an undergrad, as well as the combinations of major minors, right? Now, with you being a business major, there are probably two routes for you to be a part of Psi Chi. One, you could be a minor, just have a minor in psychology, right? The other is to double major. However, since business is a Bachelor of Science, I don't know if I would suggest that unless you love it. The reason why is this. If you guys think about the curriculum worksheet in psychology, you guys take about 39 credits in order to satisfy all psychology requirements. Do you remember how dense and packed the business program curriculum is? A lot more. I think it's 54 to 60 credits. Right? Now, what that means is this. A psychology major has 30 credits of free electives they take, right? A lot of wiggle room to play around and do some other stuff. What that means for business majors is that you only have 9 credits that pretty much won't be outside of business. Now, you can get it well if you are thinking strategically, because there are two social sciences in the gen ed that you should try to make psychology. And then those 9 credits of your free electives can go towards creating that minor. Yes. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Psych courses. Okay. Okay. And you know what? Essentially, if you get the call out, now you only get the call if you are declared a psych major or a psych minor. Now, this is what's scary a little bit, guys. I think y'all know our records at Cheney are kind of whacked a little bit. Has anybody looked in Banner and they had your name spelt wrong, or they tell you that you're still an education major and you ain't did that since you was in high school, right? When I send out this indication, I send it out to those who are listed in the system. I always hear about 1 or 2 students that I missed, and that's because the Banner records were not accurate. But you'll get the invitation if psychology is your minor or your major, and we would love to have you. We would love to have you. All right, guys, I just want to let you guys know it is 5:56. If I understand correctly, there is a very, very important Keystone Honors event that's being done today. So I will still take more questions, but I want to make sure you guys are aware of time. And oh, make sure you guys. I like that too. You know, I because I closed the window out there and all the way. Mhm. Say again? Me sign in? Yeah, you should. It just looks good for yeah, this looks good. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Okay, so let's be clear. There's a freshman on the rise, which you might have been. That's when we recognize you because you're phenomenal. But you probably were invited to Psi Chi each year. But if you don't pay that $100, what we're saying is you meet the requirements, but you haven't paid it yet. So you'll probably get it again this year, unless you're slacking. I can see that. Yeah, I can't see that. No problem. Yep. Thank you, Paris. I'm so happy. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? I didn't see that. I'm so jealous. They hiding from me.
Oh, 15.
Hmm.
But I don't know because they asked like, "Oh, what type of research are you interested in?"
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm too broad.
What are you doing your research on right now?
So, well, there's nothing. I would say,
Oh, you're in stats. You're not an
yeah.
experimental?
I would say, but I really like developmental psychology. I like talking about transgenerational trauma.
I think that's it. Intergenerational trauma is a big thing.
Okay.